Oftentimes you see people kind of questioning, oh, why should I call myself alt-right? Why should I call myself this? Why should I call myself that? My response, if it isn't or like self-evident, is that don't bother. Just be yourself. Honestly, I mean that sounds really cringy to say, and you hear oftentimes from liberals and other retards, just free love and be yourself. But I mean be yourself in the proper sense. Um, just be honest to yourself and don't try to fit yourself into a niche. I think when people do try and fit themselves into a niche, into a community, that's when you get problems. So when people try to make themselves alt-right, or to say, oh, I am an alt-righter, and this means X, 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 and X. This is why I always describe the alt-right as a community, as a network, as a big web of things. It's a cultural phenomenon, and we just happen to give it this name, the alt-right. We don't even need to. We don't even need the label. But human beings, we like to label things as to better mentally comprehend them. That's simple. Just that's a way of reasoning and logic. That's the way that comes into the equation, because then we can view things in abstract terms, and so on and so forth. But generally speaking, this is just a cultural phenomenon which we've been kind of born to experience, and all of us kind of coming together and talking and conversing, and it's quite organic. And to give it a name and to suddenly say, oh, I have to fit into this community in a specific way, no, that's terribly inorganic and unnatural and totally, well, it's false. Um, just be yourself. To be honest, that's all that's really needed, necessary. That's why I always badger on about people's character, and the quality of the person, and honesty and these sorts of things, because they're far more important than I think about these political hypotheticals, which means I belong to this special community on the internet. That's just nonsense. One should just consider facts of truth and honesty, and being real, being real to yourself and all the rest of it. There's no need to overcomplicate matters. And this kind of goes into people who say or ask me, "Oh, how do I recruit my friends into our quote movement unquote?" And I just say, "Shut the fuck up," because you shouldn't have to convert anyone to anything. Honestly, I think people naturally are drawn to people who are self-confident, who are leaders, who know what they're doing, know what they're talking about, who practice what they preach, who aren't hypocrites, and if they are hypocrites, they have the honesty to admit it and to work to change it. People are drawn to other people who are strong and interesting in character. So I think the best way to convince or convert really anyone into anything or of anything, it simply, it's not even a question. It doesn't even need to be asked on how to do that. Um, if you have strong bonds with a friend, you should be able to discuss politics with them, or spirituality, or anything, because you're friends and you respect each other. When people start to ask questions of a movement, like, okay, what political party are you a part of? Do you have any leaflets for me to read? What's your manifesto? You get into those sort. I ask people that, and it's just deer caught in headlights. Those sorts of questions don't even need to be asked. People overcomplicate things, and they throw in variables which don't need to be there. So yeah, I think that's really all I can say on the matter. It's just been something on my mind, and I've been just a friend asking me about this right now. Someone posted on a certain Indian origami web forum about the use of the term alt-right and people wanting to distinguish it and differentiate themselves from it or align themselves with it. All these questions are totally unimportant and don't need to be asked. Um, the fact of the matter is, we all do our own things in our own ways. If you want to start a blog and start babbling on the internet about all sorts of things, then you can do that. Um, If you want to start a political movement, you can do that. If you want to not bother with any of that and sit around reading esoteric uh, kind of texts, then sure, go ahead and do that. Do what's right for your nature and your actual type as a person, and don't fret over insignificant details which don't really change anything. Because at the end of the day, whether or not you are part of the quote alt-right unquote, it doesn't actually change the fact that the way you live should be upright. It should be the right way. Things you do in life should be proper, and they should be ordered, and they should correspond to your nature, your personality, your caste, etc. These fundamental questions stay the same, and those sorts of questions which I think people really should be answering. Because when it comes down to it, being true to oneself and understanding oneself and the context within which one exists, that solves all these other questions at the end of the day. So, that's just my 2 cents on the matter. Thank you for listening.